What is going on, guys? This is Big Worm 380, and we are back in the Total Beginner Tip series on Ark. As you can see, I found a 150 male direwolf. Now, these aren't as hard as you might think to find, because where they spawn, which is over in the snow, they pack up, and there's usually quite a few wolves around. So you have a fairly good chance of finding a high level one, or even a 150. And like I said at the beginning of the series, when you're taming stuff, you know, a 150 is great if you're just trying to collect 150s and have super high level dinos, but that really doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have the best stats anyway. I already got a 130 female, and we're going to be breeding in this episode. I meant to do the breeding last episode, but for one thing, the video was running long, and then also my the breeding settings that I had were so fast I couldn't even it literally took about 20 seconds for it to go from an egg to hatch, and then from there it took about another 20 or 30 seconds to mature, so I couldn't even explain what was going on. And I think I figured out why. When you start a single player game on Ark, there is the option to play single player, and when you do that, it automatically has a setting checked in your server settings, and I believe it's under, I think it's either under the first set of settings or under the advanced tab, I'm not sure. But it says use single player settings. And I looked it up, and because I haven't, I got 2 pieces of prime left, perfect. The use single player settings automatically has some settings for, you know, a person who might be who is playing by themselves, that boost stuff. Well, I thought that whatever settings were boosted, I could just go in and put my settings in that I wanted to use, and it would just change what, you know, that single player setting did. Well, apparently not, because I usually have, like, if I'm just messing around, I'll put it on 40 times breeding, and that's what I have on my PvE PC server, and stuff doesn't breed that fast on there. I mean, it's real fast compared to normal, but it's not that fast. Apparently what it is, I don't know what the setting is. I know, for instance, taming is 2.5 times, which is why stuff tames so fast on here too, because I have it on 10 times taming, but I think it's 2.5 times that. So it's actually what I'm actually seeing, even though I have 10 times in my settings, in the game files, that other 2.5, so it's like 25 times taming. So I turned the breeding speed down to 20, and we're gonna try that. And this thing isn't gonna take long to get tamed up, and we will go ahead and get it up to the top there with the female that I've got, and we're gonna breed some Argents and some direwolves. So we'll be back in just a little bit. Alright guys, we got our 2 direwolves in this little makeshift thatch pen. The reason I do this is when you're breeding stuff, to make them mate, you need a male and a female, obviously, and then you just go in and under behavior settings, you enable wandering. Okay, well, when you do that, obviously they're going to start walking around. If you've ever put anything on wandering, you know that's what it does. It walks around. Well, for them to be mating, they have to be within a certain proximity of each other, or else it'll stop the mating, and then once they get close enough again, they'll start mating again, but it starts the whole process over. So, what I do, I put my stuff in just a little pen. This is a 1x1, just 3 thatch walls up against the side wall, and I use thatch, just, you know, they're not going to try to tear out of it, and you know, you can tear this down to get them out whenever you're done, so it's no big deal. No, you know, wouldn't bother making this out of metal or anything. And I did the same thing out here with the Argents. This is a 4x4, and to land them in here at the same time, you need to face them opposite. That's pretty much the way. Otherwise, if they're facing the other way, then the second one you try to put in is probably not going to land. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get these Argents mating. Now, like I said, I changed my egg lay speed and the maturing speed down to 20. So hopefully that does it. Oh, I put him on follow. Don't want him on follow. Get them both on wandering. And are you on wandering? Yeah, they're on... Wait a minute. Did I put... Yeah, it's male and female. The little heart should be popping up. For some reason, they are not. Ready to mate, ready to mate. Oh. Yeah, see, sometimes... See how the heart's popped up now? So, for some reason, sometimes it doesn't pop up right at the beginning, but it was doing it in the background. It was already up to 40% when it finally popped up. Okay, so sometimes that happens. So, see, you can see at 20 times, this is still going pretty quick. I mean, but this is more like what I was trying to do. I mean, it literally took about 20 seconds last time to lay the egg, and we don't want it... I don't want it quite that fast. So all you're going to do is just let these guys go. I'll be right back before the egg comes out. Alright, we're at 98%. Fixing to drop the egg. And it dropped it. Okay, now, don't freak out if... I'm going to go ahead and get this guy out of the way so I can get that egg. Don't freak out if that egg's on the ground, okay? Now, I will tell you this. If you look down at the bottom, the egg health is falling. Because it's just sitting outside, and you can see it says it's too hot right above the blue line, the incubation meter. So just pick that up. Now you have it in your inventory. When you're carrying fertilized eggs around, their health does not, you know, it does not fall at all. So I could literally carry this egg, and the health is not going to be affected. Now the spoil time still keeps going, okay? But you can obviously, it says 23 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes. So, I mean, you could literally carry this egg around for quite a while before you have to worry about it spoiling. And then you stick it in a preserving bin or a fridge, and you got way more time with it. So you can breed a bunch of animals, get a bunch of eggs ready, and save them for a day, you know, that you want to just breed a bunch of stuff. All right, so we're going to go ahead... Now, here's the deal on the torches. I was going to show you guys, the only reason I have the torches set up is so I could show you, you know, earlier on, if you chose to breed something, you would probably need some torches. Now, right here where I'm at, it's 97 degrees. If you get the Dodo Dex app, and I was going to show you guys a screenshot of this, but for some reason, it is not working. I can't open it on my phone or my PC, and so... I'm assuming that Fall Creator update for Windows maybe affected the Dodo Dex app and they have to update it. But if you look on the Dodo Dex app, any of the egg-laying dinosaurs, it'll show when you scroll down to where the breeding section is, it'll show the temperature range that the egg has to be in. Now, pretty much every dinosaur that lays an egg, their fertilized egg has its own range. None of them are the same. Argents actually need to have a little bit cooler temperature to incubate. So, being that it's 97 degrees right now, it's not going to do us any good to use the torches. What you would have to do is wait till it is nighttime, and probably, when I did the last egg, I had to use the air conditioners because it's just too hot here. The coolest it got in the middle of the night was like 72 degrees, and it's still going to show too hot when you drop that egg on the ground. So... Further on, you could relocate to the snow area or just a cooler part of the map than the jungle area that I'm in, and then set up some torches to adjust if it dips down too low in the middle of the night or whatever, to get it ready to hatch. Now, the only problem is wherever it hatches, that's where you have to raise it because you can't pick them up. You can't pick babies up, and all they can do is follow you on the ground, and they're slow as shit, and they have little to no health. So you really don't want to be hatching eggs unless you have some kind of breeding room set up, especially if you're over in like the snow area or whatever, because there's just there's wolves and all kinds of stuff over there. So what we got going on, I'm gonna grab some more meat and put it in here. Let's go do that real quick. Should have, yeah. And I'll have plenty of meat. This should be plenty. What you want to do is, I suggest putting a bin like I have here and just getting you some meat. Now keep some in your inventory. Because what can happen, I can't remember the percentages. I think there is I think it's a 10% chance of twins and a 7% chance of triplets, or a 7% chance of twins and like a 3% chance of triplets. Probably 7 and 3. So you're gonna get one's gonna hatch no matter what, but there is a chance for twins or triplets. So we're just gonna turn our generator on, and we're gonna drop this egg down. Now the benefit to having the air conditioners set up is, no matter what temperature that egg needs to incubate at, the air conditioners will either warm it up or cool it automatically as soon as you drop it down. I think I've got 9 ACs here. This is going to be enough ACs to pretty much raise everything outside of maybe a giga. I think the wiki says for a giga egg you need like 14 ACs. But I mean, if you get to the point in the game where you're knocking gigas out and breeding gigas and stuff like that, then you probably won't have a problem getting a few more ACs. So we're gonna drop this egg on the ground, and as you can see right there above the blue line, it says it's incubating. Now the incubating time is falling still pretty fast. It is slower than it was in the last video, you can imagine. So I'm gonna wait till this thing's just about ready to hatch, and we'll be right back. Alright guys, this thing is just about to hatch. Let's see what we get. Alright, I got one. It's a level 214, which is good. You want to put meat in this thing right off the bat, because it's going to want to eat. And you're also going to want to go to behavior, disable wandering. And I tell you what, I'm going to leave it on follow, because you want to get it out here in kind of in the middle of the floor, because you don't want that argent to mature and be stuck in the ceilings where the generator and all that is. Alright, should be good there. If you notice, it says wants care in 7 seconds. That is part of the imprinting process, and I'll show you guys what that is. Let's see. Wants terror bird kibble. Okay. Well, what that is, any animal that you hatch or is, birthed, like you'll see the wolves do, they do live births. It's going to, over a period of time, if you have it synced up, like I have the mature speed so high, I had to adjust the amount of time between when it wants care and imprinting, which, that's what you get is imprinting out of it. I don't have terror birds or terror bird eggs to make kibble, so I'm not going to be able to imprint this thing at all. But if I did have terror bird kibble, I would get it, and you put it in your last slot on your quick bar, like you're doing a passive tame, and you just go up and hit the Y button. So it's either going to ask for a special kind of certain kind of kibble, and it can be different kinds of kibble throughout the maturing process. Okay, or it's going to want to cuddle, which you just walk up to it. If it says it wants to cuddle, you just hit the Y button on your controller. And then the other thing is it wants to go on a walk with you. So you would just put it on follow and just walk it around for a little bit, and then you would see the imprinting percentage pop up, and then you would get a percentage down here where it says imprinting each time. And if you have your the imprinting what do you call it? The imprinting timing synced up pretty much with your maturation level, it should happen enough times while this thing is maturing to where you can get 100% imprinting. So what does imprinting do? If you imprint on an animal, if you get it up to 100%, if you get 100% imprint, I believe you get up to a 30% boost in your health and melee. Now, that may be, I think it's 30%. It may be 20%. I'm honestly not sure. But basically, you just get a buff in health and melee. And that's going to be for whoever does the imprinting on it. Now, there is a setting in the server settings for allow anyone to imprint, on babies or whatever the setting is. Now, that allows you, if you have tribe mates and say you hatch a Argent and you do the first imprint on it, but you got to get off, you got to leave, you got to log off for whatever reason, and your tribe mates are on, they can come over here and give you a hand and keep an eye on it and do the imprinting to where you can still get that 100% imprint. So that setting makes it kind of nice. And I do believe when you are allowing anyone to imprint, anybody can get the buff on it, I would think. I'm not sure though. Now I don't know if everybody in the tribe has to imprint on it to get the buff. I would assume they have to imprint it on it at least once. I don't know. We'll have to test that on my PC server and see what it does. But if you don't check that, then like I said, it's going to be, you know, the whatever the percentage of imprint you get on it, it'll be for whoever did it, and only that person will get the buff. So also, if you notice, this thing, it's maturing so fast, it's not going to even finish the food I first put into it. Normally, Argents take, I can't remember how long they normally take. They take, I don't know, it seems like they take hours to actually do this, so you got to have a lot of meat ready to go. Now you'll see it started off as a baby, and then when it got to 10% of its basically 10% of its weight, that's the easiest one to follow. When it got to its 410 pounds is what its max weight is. You know, once it stops growing, that's what it's going to be. Well, when it got to 41 pounds over here, where it says 175. That's 10%. Then it turns into a juvenile. So when it turns into a juvenile, it automatically starts feeding off the trough. You see it's got the trough icon above it. So that means when it's a baby, you do have to hand feed it until it gets to that 10%. Then after the 10%, it'll automatically feed off the trough. So you could literally get it to juvenile status, and then you could go do whatever you want. If you're not worried about the imprinting, or if you've got the maturation speed way lower than I have, and the whole process is going to take a long time, then that time in between imprints is going to be way longer. You know, it might be, the default is, I think it's about 3 hours in between imprinting. So that's you got plenty of time to go do whatever you want. You just need to make sure that you have your feeding trough stocked up with plenty of meat, especially if you're doing multiple breeds at the same time, because the meat will go quick. So I'm gonna go ahead and walk this out. It's already geez, yeah, the speed on this is still way faster than I prefer. Because you know, if something comes up, I like to have a little time to deal with it. Alright, so we'll go ahead and shut the generator off so we can have a little less noise in here. Alright, here's our 194 female and our 224 male. Now, the male was the 150, the female was the 130. So we are going to do the same thing. Enable wandering. Enable wandering. Okay. Now, see, they're mating. It popped right up, and see, it's frozen at 1.1. That's going to jump up. That'll jump up quite a bit here in a minute. Okay, so if you notice that the male, if you have multiple dire wolves, then they have what's called a pack boost. They started that with the Allosauruses when they came out with those. That was the first thing they did it with, and then they ended up applying that to the dire wolves because they're pack animals too. Allosauruses, you always see usually about 3 of them together, and you'll notice one has the orange glow on it. That's going to be the highest level one. That's signifying that it's the alpha in the pack. So, you know, obviously the 224 has the pack, or the alpha boost, and the 194 does not. So it basically, all that is this dire wolf will have, I believe, a health and melee boost on it, you know, as long as it's running with its pack. Now you separate these. If I were to take that 224 dire wolf out and just by itself, I'd lose the alpha boost. All right, we are at 59%, and these guys aren't even moving around. See, sometimes they do that. Sometimes they'll just sit right there and they won't even move at all. But it can be a big pain in the butt, you know, if they are. Now, what you can do also is you can hold down your wheel and just continuously whistle stop, and that will keep them in place. As soon as they start moving, you just sit there and do it over and over and over, but I don't have the patience to do that, even with the super fast speeds I got going. I just usually build a little thing, and I can get this going, and I can walk off and do something else. Not even worry about it. I have no idea how people do all this on official. That's way too much. You'd have to build a pin on official, I think. All right, so this one, all right. So we'll take this one off wandering, and we'll take it off following. I'm gonna bust this wall out, and I'm gonna walk this one out here. I'm gonna put you on low. There we go. Okay. Disable wandering and disable following. All right, so we're at 43%. When this thing's about to give birth, I will be right back. All right, guys, we're at 98%, and the baby is stuck. Shit. Okay. I don't know why it did that, and it's floating in the air. Okay, so we're gonna imprint, and I need to get some meat. Boom and boom. All right, it's already a juvenile, so right now it's already feeding off the trough, so that's good. This thing's gonna raise pretty damn quick also. Again, I don't know why this thing is floating in the air. It should drop down when it starts to fall. There it goes. All right, so we will take it off follow. Let's see what this thing wants, what kind of care it wants. See if we can get any kind of imprint on it. This is why, if you look on YouTube, you'll see videos about kibble farms and stuff like that on here. It wants to go on a walk. Okay, cool. So we're gonna enable following. We'll open the door because we may need to walk it outside for just a second. So you just walk around and have it follow you, and eventually it will do its imprinting thing. See, I got 24% on that. All right, and that restarts the countdown timer for the imprinting. So we're gonna bring this guy back up in here. And again, like I said, with the super fast speeds I got going on here, we're not going to get a whole lot of imprinting on this. The imprinting, the setting that I have is set up for regular 40 times tame. And now, because I have the single player setting checked, it affects that. So it's not, I'm not going to get enough imprints on this with these settings to get 100% on anything, I don't think. Because if you look, I'm already at 50%. Basically, your imprinting percentage needs to be pretty in line with your maturation percentage, and it's not going to happen. It looks like I'm going to get about around 50% imprinting. So, wants care, what do we want now? Wants to cuddle, see? That's the ones I like, because the longer, I don't like the walking around ones, especially when you've got the timers just synced up, where you just barely get 100 sometimes, because, you know, the walking around it's almost kind of random the way it is as far as how long it takes to imprint. Sometimes you can go, and as soon as whatever you're having to follow you takes a couple of steps, it'll imprint. I've had to walk around for a minute and a half, and you know, just them following. And when you got the speed up this high, you don't want to be walking around for a minute and a half. I'm gonna get one more possible imprint now, and if this thing asks for some kind of kibble that I don't have, which I don't have hardly any kibble at all, then we won't be able to do any more. Yeah, dodo egg kibble, I don't have that. I don't even have any dodos. So that's it. That's all we're gonna get on this one, 49%, which, you know, that's not bad. It's a boost. So, all right, well, we'll be back in just a little bit, just shortly, when we get closer to this thing maturing. All right, guys, it just matured. Okay, which didn't take any time at all. So, again, just remember, as soon as anything is hatched or born, you want to disable wandering for sure. disable following, you may want to move it real quick. I would put the meat and stuff in it first before you do that. Alright, and I always like, you know, there's feeding troughs. Once you start taming a bunch of stuff and breeding and all that, you want to start having, you know, feeding troughs kind of maybe scattered, just a couple of them, because each feeding trough covers a really big area. But you don't want to screw up and leave, you know, a dino out of range of your feeding troughs. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, if you got any questions, go ahead and ask them in the comments. You know, I may miss a thing or two here or there, a detail. If you got any questions, just go ahead and ask, and I'll answer it, or I'll include it in the next another video. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I will see you guys in the next one. Later.